to make is to go where it's warm. I was just
Correct.
on with a friend of mine. Hey, we're live, everybody. I was just on with a friend of mine in Australia, where it's of course approaching summer officially. And I always wondered, does Santa Claus show up like in a tank top and shorts? I always wondered that. That's interesting. I've never done the Southern Hemisphere Christmas, but good morning or evening, everyone. Welcome to our Success Mastermind for Friday, the 11th of December, 2020. A couple of quick announcements, and then we'll get into our usual jokes and fun Friday festivities. If you got a dog or a cat, my daughter's hamster may make an appearance today. That would be good. Um, but we're coming up on the holidays, in case that's not evident. And we were just having a conversation before we went live about Christmas orphans. And so I know Caroline and Koila and a couple others were talking about, hey, we're not really going anywhere. We're not doing much for the holiday. Our hospitality suite is always open. So we could do a damn Christmas marathon. We could sing carols. We could do cookie baking recipes and stuff. In fact, I think my wife and daughter are going to be baking cookies today. So there's that. I mean, what does it take to click go on the Zoom button and like, yeah, do it. So we can do some festive stuff. I like being festive. In fact, speaking of my wife Shannon, some of you got to tune in last night to our triumphant return of Brand Builder every other week on Thursdays, opposite Mark and his global and tactical marketing on every other Thursday. So Brand Builder's back. Catch the replay if you haven't seen it already. In our members website under the recordings section. Also, we did have our friend Ego, who is not here with us now because she's on business projects, but she's usually here in the morning, or the evening for you guys across the pond. But she has our tech talk, which of course it happens at 5 o'clock in the morning my time, and we'll go ahead and check out the replay for that. I know some of you enjoy being on that live every week, especially if you're engaged in online marketing, which is, I would venture, everyone to some capacity, right? We're all here engaged in some sort of online marketing. Certainly this is happening online, this communication that you're receiving right now. How do you survive without the internet these days? That's a great question, especially in the face of, the woo flu, the coof, call it whatever slang words you want to call it these days to not get your YouTube videos demonetized and have enforced, advertising pointing you to the CDC. You got to use code words now. So anyway, we have business, we have commerce happening independent of your location. And in fact, we have every couple of weeks, we dive deep into some different aspect of that with Mark and with Adrian. Maybe we'll get Adrian out here to say a couple words about his life and business tools. I'll tell you what, this week, and I know I'm rambling a bit here, but just looking back at what we had on this very mild week as we approach the holidays, we had a complete dissertation on cryptocurrency. Adrian, my goodness, you crushed it. That was like some of you may have read books on, cryptocurrency and blockchain and how this sort of technology and virtual currency works. Adrian, in about 42 minutes and 38 seconds, like he gave us like volumes of good, actionable, understandable things. And when I say actionable, I may the action you may take might be no action. You know what? I'm not going to touch that. That could be a conclusion that you come to, which is a fine conclusion, right? If that's what you want to come to. As Adrian said, it's highly speculative. And there's some reasons for that, which you didn't go too deep into, but sure. Right now, especially highly speculative. What else? We had a yoga lesson yesterday. We had Nicola showed up and did our group meditation. I know she was traveling on Tuesday. She was able to deliver it on Thursday instead. We are just jam-packed, my friend. So if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook or somewhere where you're not a full member, but you're just kind of sneaking in the back door here, please feel free to go to jlsuccessmastermind.com, jlsuccessmastermind.com, and you can get a complete members access, full members access. Let me wrap up with housekeeping right now. Today at 4:30 p.m. Eastern U.S. time, we have Integrative Nutrition with Therese Masellis, and she's going to be talking about water. That's right, water. Yeah, none of this works without water. In fact, I just bought, some of you who were on our Adventures in Mindset talk on, was that Monday, Tuesday? Stuart and I, the Llama King, we were talking about preparedness, suburban and urban preparedness. So not like we're going to go trekking through the jungle or whatever, although I suppose we could. But here you are in your home, in your apartment, very reliant in many cases on outside sources of sustenance. What do you do? what do you do if those sources aren't there? So check out the replay of Adventures in Mindset, Tales from the Trail with Stuart Wilde, and in this case, John Lavenia from Tuesday night. And then, of course, we're going to wrap up our week at 6 p.m. Eastern U.S. time with me listening to you. We have our Be Heard broadcast, which is how we like to traditionally end our week, where you, especially our new members who might be a little bit shy to talk on the bigger sessions like we have here, can come and say whatever you want, and I'll be listening. Unless Adrian prompts me to talk, and then you'll be listening to me. Adrian, don't do that. I'm there to listen, not to talk. Okay, I talk enough. Let's have you guys talk. It's Fun Friday, my friends. It is Fun Friday. I'm not even wearing a black polo shirt. I'm wearing a navy blue polo shirt with a Maserati logo, as it were. But who's got a joke, something they want to demonstrate, maybe an animal? Come on out. Let's have
I've got a joke.
Hey, Mark, tell us a joke, please.
Why don't clams give to charity?
I don't know.
Because they're shellfish.
They're shellfish.
Or because they're too tight. Because they're too tight. That's also could be
I was thinking something about tightness. Yeah, you got it, Caroline. Caroline, you got a comment, joke, cat?
No, I'll come back to you if I do, if I get inspiration.
Usually you got a cat like right in your face, exactly when you don't want it too, right?
I know. Where is she now? She's just like hiding.
It's time for the cat to make its appearance. You know, we don't get the cat. Hold on a second. Hey, Trin. Trin. All right, my daughter's not in her loft right now. Her loft is where she offices, right? She has her schoolwork, right? They're doing on Zoom, and she has her books, and she has many books, even at 10 years old, many books. And then she recently got what's called, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, Cricut, something like that, CRICUT. It's crafting. You make the decals and different shapes and customized coffee mugs and stuff, right? And so it's like this machine. It looks like a printer, but it works with all different kinds of material. And you put in the computerized, program, the patterns that come out, and then you can make things for sale, right? I mean, she's her brand, Luck and Lovely. She goes to the farmer's market and sells stuff, and now she just added the Cricut maker to her repertoire. So that's all in her layer. So I was saying if she was there, she could maybe bring out the hamster. Gail, you've got your hand up. No need to stand on ceremony, my friend. Come on down.
Okay, I'm going to read something. It's about how I learned to mind my own business. I was walking past the mental hospital the other day, and all the patients were shouting, 13, 13, 13. The fence was too high to see over, but I saw a little gap in the planks, so I looked through to see what was going on. Some idiot poked me in the eye with a stick. Then they all started shouting, 14, 14, 14. So.
Well done, Gail. I love that joke. Good times, my friend. All right, anybody else? Bill, come on down, brother.
Two things. Number one, John, a big shout out for Nancy Burtonshaw. There was a big gang of us last night at our yoga, and boy, did I feel that this morning. I can tell you, it was fantastic. And I would encourage anybody that if you can't get on live, certainly do the recording, because it's well worth it. You will feel awesomely better. Secondly, a bit of good news in my wonderful life. I decided that I can't live without my best friend, so I bought this.
Oh my goodness! Look at that.
Oh,
This is Tova, Tova. So I thought she's only 8 weeks. Wow. So she is.
Well, welcome, Tova. Welcome to the family. Oh man, you just made my day. Look at that. Of course, puppies are work. There's a bunch of patience and tolerance that goes into every puppy,
But 30 plus years, John, I'm well used to it. So
very good. Very good. Good on you, sir. Good on you. Of course, my dog, those of you who have met Butch, you know that he's got a disability. His lower body, his hind legs and bowels, he doesn't really have control of. So he has to wear a diaper all the time and he pees all over himself. Anyway, we got the diaper and sometimes we find little Tootsie Rolls and stuff. But anyway, congratulations on Tova. That is beautiful. All right. Anybody else before we get into today's? Oh, Nancy is here. Nancy, you were just getting some love for your yoga basics.
Yeah, I
which-
saw that. We had such a beautiful time yesterday. And here's just a welcome again to all of you. If you're feeling intimidated, like I'm going to be doing headstand and handstand, that's not happening in this group. So, it's a very accessible process. And I'm just so pleased for those people that are showing up. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Beautiful stuff, Nancy. And Nancy freely gives her time volunteering here as our yoga master. And of course, NancyBurtonshawYoga.com. You can go and get more personalized services there. Apparently, yoga even can happen on the interwebs, right? So, yeah, there you go. All right, we're going to go ahead and dig in to something that we teased yesterday. In fact, this is all Mark. Mark is at fault for this because Mark was talking about some stuff that triggered an essay in my mind. An essay, yes. And we don't often read essays. Check the chat roll. I just put it in there. We don't often read essays as a group. In fact, we've never done that before, but I'm thinking it's Fun Friday. It's a light crowd. What the hell? Let's read an essay. So if you guys want to go ahead and click on the link that I just put, that is a link directly into the file that I've got on my Dropbox. I will also post this on our members site as well as on Facebook. Of course, if you're just seeing this right now on YouTube or whatever, you are not privy to that link. Actually, I may be able to put it in the YouTube chat. Let me do that. Bam. All right. So if you're watching this live right now on YouTube, it's in the live chat. I got a Zoom chat and a YouTube chat. I usually don't look at the YouTube chat until we're done. This is a message to Garcia. I think I wrongly called it a letter to Garcia yesterday. So it's actually a message to Garcia by Albert Green Hubbard. And this was right at the turn of the last century, so late 1800s. Albert Hubbard was a thinker, right? He was, I believe, the grandfather of L. Ron Hubbard, who came later. But yeah, this was something that impacted me. This essay, and we're going to go ahead and hopefully this is entertaining for you guys. I if nothing else, I think it'll be impactful because it certainly has been for me. And we're just going to go launch right into it. I'm going to recite. You guys can read along. If we come to any words that I suspect you might not understand because some of the English is a little bit older, we can take those up because you definitely want to understand what the author's saying. But this is about getting it done, which you guys know, excuse me, you guys know it's one of my favorite topics, getting it done. Yes, getting it done. So we're going to go ahead and launch right into this, and then we're going to open it up for discussion and see what you make of all this. And all this Cuban business, all right, so there's the context, right? Cuban and, conflict and things like this. There was one man that stands out on the horizon of my memory like Mars at perihelion. All right. When war broke out between Spain and the United States, it was very necessary to communicate quickly with the leader of the insurgents. Garcia was somewhere in the mountain fastnesses of Cuba. No one knew where. No mail or telegraph could reach him. The president must secure his cooperation and quickly. What to do? Someone said to the president, "There is a fellow by the name of Rowan who will find Garcia for you, if anybody can." Rowan was sent for and given a letter to be delivered to Garcia. How the fellow by the name of Rowan took the letter, sealed it up in an oilskin pouch, strapped it over his heart, in 4 days landed by night off the coast of Cuba from an open boat, disappeared into the jungle, and in 3 weeks came out on the other side of the island, having traversed a hostile country on foot and having delivered his letter to Garcia. Are things I have no special desire now to tell in detail. The point I wish to make is this. McKinley gave Rowan a letter to be delivered to Garcia. Rowan took the letter and did not ask, "Where is he at?" By the eternal, there is a man whose form should be cast in deathless bronze and the statue placed in every college on the land. It is not book learning young men need, nor instruction about this or that, but a stiffening of the vertebrae, which will cause them to be loyal to a trust, to act promptly, concentrate their energies, do the thing, carry a message to Garcia. General Garcia is dead now, but there are other Garcias. No man who has endeavored to carry out an enterprise where many hands were needed, but has been well nigh appalled at times by the imbecility of the average man, the inability or unwillingness to concentrate on a thing and do it. Slipshod assistance, foolish inattention, dowdy indifference, and half-hearted work seem the rule, and no man succeeds unless by hook or crook or threat he forces or bribes or other men to assist him, or mayhap God in his goodness performs a miracle and sends him an angel of light for an assistance. You, reader, put this matter to a test. You are sitting now in your office. 6 clerks are within your call. Summon anyone and make this request. Please look in the encyclopedia and make a brief memorandum for me concerning the life of Correggio. Will the clerk quietly say, yes, sir, and go to the task? On your life, he will not. He will look at you out of a fishy eye and ask one or more of the following questions. Who was he? Which encyclopedia? Where is the encyclopedia? Was I hired for that? Don't you mean Bismarck? What's the matter with Charlie doing it? Is he dead? Is there any hurry? Shan't I bring you the book and let you look it up yourself? What do you want to know for? And I will lay you 10 to 1 that after you have answered the questions and explained how to find the information and why you want it, the clerk will go off and get one of the other clerks to help him find Garcia, and then come back and tell you there is no such man. Of course, I may lose my bet, but according to the law of average, I will not. Now, if you are wise, you will not bother to explain to your assistant, your quote assistant, that Correggio is indexed under the C's, not in the K's, but you will smile sweetly and say, never mind, and go look it up yourself. And this incapacity for independent action, this moral stupidity, this infirmity of the will, this unwillingness to cheerfully catch hold and lift are the things that put pure socialism so far into the future. If men will not act for themselves, what will they do when the benefit of their effort is for all? A first mate with knotted club seems necessary, and the dread of getting the bounce Saturday night holds many worker in his place. Advertise for a stenographer, and 9 times out of 10 who apply can neither spell nor punctuate, and do not think it is necessary to. Can such a one write a letter to Garcia? You see that bookkeeper, said the foreman to me in a large factory. Yes, what about him? Well, he's a fine accountant, but if I'd send him to town on an errand, he might accomplish the errand, all right, and on the other hand, might stop at 4 saloons on the way, and when he got to Main Street, would forget what he had been sent for. Can such a man be trusted to carry a message to Garcia? We've recently been hearing much maudlin sympathy expressed for the downtrodden denizen of the sweatshop and the homeless wanderer searching for honest employment. And with it, all often go many hard works for the men in power. Nothing is said about the employer who grows old before his time in vain attempt to get frowsy ne'er-do-wells to do intelligent work, and his long patient striving with help that does nothing but loaf when his back is turned. In every store and factory, there is a constant weeding out process going on. The employer is constantly sending away help that have been shown their incapacity to further the interest of the business. And others are being taken on. No matter how good times are, this sorting continues. Only if times are hard and work is scarce, this sorting is done finer. But out and forever out, the incompetent and unworthy go. It is the survival of the fittest. Self-interest prompts every employer to keep the best those who can carry a message to Garcia, to keep the best, those who can carry a message to Garcia. I know one man of really brilliant parts who has not the ability to manage a business of his own, and yet who is absolutely worthless to anyone else because he carries with him constantly the insane suspicion that his employer is oppressing or intending to oppress him. He cannot give orders, and he will not receive them. Should a message be given to him to take to Garcia, his answer would probably be, take it yourself. Tonight, this man walks the streets looking for work, the wind whistling through his threadbare coat. No one who knows him dare employ him, for he is a regular firebrand of discontent. He is impervious to reason, and the only thing that can impress him is the toe of the kick-soled number 9 boot. The thick-soled number 9 boot. All right. Of course, I know that one so morally deformed is no less to be pitied than a physical cripple, but in your pitying, let us drop a tear too for the men who are striving to carry on a great enterprise, whose working hours are not limited by the whistle, and whose hair is fast turning white through the struggle to hold the line in dowdy indifference, slipshod imbecility, and heartless ingratitude, which, but for their enterprise, would be both hungry and homeless. Have I put the matter too strongly? Possibly I have. But when all the world has gone a-slumming, I wish to speak a word of sympathy for the man who succeeds, the man who, against great odds, has directed the efforts of others, and having succeeded, finds there is nothing in it, nothing but bare board and clothes. I have carried a dinner pail and worked for a day's wages. And I have also been an employer of labor. And I know there is something to be said on both sides. There is no excellence per se in poverty. Rags are no recommendation. And all employers are not rapacious and high-handed any more than all poor men are virtuous. My heart goes out to the man who does his work when the boss is away, as well as when he is home. And the man who, when given a letter for Garcia, quietly takes the missive without asking any idiotic questions and with no lurking intention of chucking it into the nearest sewer or of doing aught else but deliver it, never gets laid off, nor has to go on strike for higher wages. Civilization is one long anxious search for just such individuals. Anything such a man asks will be granted. His kind is so rare that no employer can afford to let him go. He is wanted in every city, town, and village, in every office, shop, store, and factory. The world cries out for such. He is needed, and needed badly. A man who can carry a message to Garcia. The end. All right. So what does that mean? I'll tell you what it means for me and to me. It's a bit of an acknowledgement of something that I mentioned pretty recently, that when I decided that, you know what, damn it, I am leaving the workaday world. I am getting out from this corporatism, this agenda, which I don't really want. It's certainly not my agenda. I'm going to express my entrepreneurial muscles. Damn it, I am going to do something more self-determined and self-reliant. When I made that decision and when I executed that decision, and you know you made a decision because you see yourself doing something about it, right? To decide but not act is to not have decided. When I decided that, I inherited the most demanding manager that I've ever had. And I knew what I was getting into, right? It wasn't like I was a mystery to myself. It wasn't like I was, loafing and had the intent to loaf. And so now let me go get into business. No, it was, you know what? I can do this. I can do this better. I could do this better for myself. You know, one of the last jobs I ever had as a mechanic. Some of you know that I was a automotive and diesel diagnostician and tugboat engineer. And anyway, I remember I was working at a job where I had a boss we were fixing cars, and this guy was on his third divorce. He was a drunkard. He was it was a wreck. The place was a wreck. And I thought, my goodness, I can run this better than that guy. That was when I decided to stop, turning a wrench and start selling wrenches. I wound up buying a franchise. Some of you know I had a tool franchise that, big trucks drive around from shop to shop selling tools to mechanics. Hugely laborious, 80, 90 hours a week, shipping, receiving, giving credit where it probably isn't due, right? Hey, I can't pay my bill this week for the tools because I spent the money at the go-go bar. And I mean, all the stories. And then I thought, you know what? I don't get paid for stories. I don't get paid by the hour, right? I get paid for delivering benefit into the marketplace. Right. And the more that I can do that in the least amount of time, the more money I'll make. That was a rather linear income. There was only one of me. There's one truck. I'm driving around, and there was such a thing as, the laws of, physics and everything. I can't multitask or I can't bilocate. Right. But still, the motivation was there. I was delivering a message to Garcia, figuratively speaking. And so when I look at a lot of people who are engaging in entrepreneurship, or looking to make that same transition from the world of the employee, like Robert Kiyosaki talked about in the cash flow quadrant, the 4 quadrants: employee, self-employed. That's a pretty big jump, right? Business owner, that's a big jump too. Investor, now it's a whole different operating strategy, right? But employee to any other quadrant is a pretty enormous undertaking, not just with logistics, but right here in the mind. who's capable of doing that? Great question. I would venture everyone here, right? You don't show up in conversations like this because, you're just here for, entertainment and to look at, Bill's puppy, right? I mean, that's, that's awesome. Okay. But my goodness, we got to get stuff done. You get paid for results. Will you carry a message to Garcia? I would bet on you. If you're here, you're in this conversation. You have I would say, an unfair advantage. Unfair. And so, excuse me. And so later in the essay, Hubbard talked about, what he would call not, far in the future socialism, right? So the idea of the collective being more valuable or higher in some echelon than the man who can carry the message to Garcia, while the person who's providing, the opportunities, the labor, the employment, right, is looked upon as somehow taking advantage of people. Hold on a second here. This is how free enterprise works, right? So there are people who will create opportunity, and there are people who will accept a certain amount of that opportunity. So my question to people, let's say you're newer into this whole world of entrepreneurship and you're considering, the fruits, certainly the self-reliance, the time flexibility, which will come. Okay. You don't necessarily start a business and suddenly your life is in balance or something, but people who are considering that, I would say, really decide, make a decision. It's not a milquetoast or like some of the other words, the older language that Hubbard used here. It's not half measures avail us nothing. It's not about half measures, right? You either do it or you don't do it. You'll wind up back in a job anyway, right? So what does it mean to do it? That means no pseudo entrepreneurship. And I've been critical at times of things that foster such a milquetoast approach. Things where there's extremely low barrier to entry, and you can just do whatever you want, part-time sometime, which is fine. But still, the people who succeed in those sort of part-time or extremely low risk type of scenarios, they have to treat it, if they're going to succeed, they have to treat it like they just put $500,000 on the table. It's the same investment of time. It's just maybe not be the investment of money, right? I think the real consideration out of this essay is, what are the values of the individual who's looking to get the job done? And we could take inventory for ourselves. I could take inventory for myself, and I could say, what do I value more than money, more than even my time? It would be my integrity. Hence the title of my first book. With the resources I have, yes, the time, the money, the ability, right? With those resources, how am I going to show up now? Am I going to carry a message to Garcia? Or am I going to sit there and Q&A until I'm blue in the face and get nothing done? And a lot of people Q&A with themselves all friggin' day. Indecision. So while this may seem like a critical essay, and it fires me up, right? Because I get to take inventory and say, yes, John, look at how much integrity you have, or don't, right? Look where you have failed. It's a nice reminder for me. Who am I? What am I showing up here to do? And whatever time I have, I don't know. How the hell do I know? How am I going to show up? Yes, integrity, everything for me. And with that, we're already 28 minutes in. Look at that. We got to read an essay. We got to look at puppies. And now, it's time for communication, man. Let's communicate. Who wants to communicate? Commence talking. I see Bill and Adrian, and let's start with Bill. What's up, Bill?
Brilliant, John. We really loved that short essay. Just like being back at school when I enjoyed learning and enjoyed, now that I'm older, that I can appreciate what those words mean. And one thing that's sure for me on this group is that you have instilled something in all of us, not to hide our light under a bushel, to start talking about how good we are, because for far too long, I know I have, just shook your head or raised your eyes or carried on regardless, and not a thank you, not a slap in the back, not a kick in the teeth even sometimes. It's now that shows me, that's right, that's because you know you're good at what you're doing. You know that you're the dependable person. Even if it's a one-man outfit, you are the dependable person, because we can rely on you turning up every day to get the job done. to get everything done. Quick story that, you know, at the time it didn't mean much to, but it means a lot more to me now. If I repeated it, I apologize, but the quickness of it is a massive drugs job. Those specialists that were employed to do these things couldn't be caught. My boss, who was in uniform, rang me and said, Bill, here's the road down. There's a vehicle filled with drugs and guns heading towards Belfast. It's approximately 30 miles out. I realize it's rush hour traffic. I need you to get 30 miles up the road and intercept this vehicle. Can you organize that? Right, leave it with me. And I got on the phone, got on the radio. And when I was turning up the emergency lane on the freeway, as you guys would talk about it, at 140 plus, I wasn't driving, my colleague was driving, letting me get on with what I had to do. And it suddenly struck me, hold on a minute, there's a sergeant attached to my unit. So I rang my boss back and says, Inspector, there's a sergeant attached to this unit. Why are you ringing me? And his words to me were, exactly, and hung up. I got the job done. We made the arrests, we got the drugs, we got the guns. And it's only now that I can appreciate through this group and the wherewithal that you have taught us, John, that I know, yeah, of course I can do the job. I'm so damn good, they give me money.
Oh my goodness. You know, as you were saying that, I'm so damn good they give me money. For some reason, maybe it was because of, you know, the context of getting the job done combined with, you know, your accent. I know to you, you don't have an accent. I do, but to me, you have an accent. And suddenly my mind went to golf and I was thinking, all right, get the job done. I'm so good. I get paid for this. What's the job? Put the ball in the hole. Now, how many questions can come up? You know, here's a club, here's a ball, there's the hole, it's a couple 100 yards away, figure it out, right? And can you get that job done? So again, just kind of a more of a light metaphor compared to, you know, here is Bill, who was entrusted with making the arrest of, you know, the criminal action that was happening because he was the guy who was going to carry the message to Garcia. He's the guy who's going to, the sergeant, oh, you got a title, whatever, right? Oh, you don't have a title, whatever. Bill gets the job done. And so that is, I think, what is being lauded here, you know, with this essay. Guys like Bill. So Bill, not to give you a tongue bath, man, but I just think you're awesome, and just thank you for being awesome. And yeah, we're gonna watch that puppy grow.
John, I'll happily take that because it's very rare it happens.
All right. Well, there you go. Let's go to Adrian Garner, and then we got Mark, Sonia, and Koila. Hey, Adrian.
Hey, John. That was a great letter. Very complicated. I was having trouble following that. I'm still trying to work out how a bank clerk managed to ask a Renaissance painter to find the founder of Scientology in Cuba, but I'll get there eventually. Yeah, I mean, it really, look, anyone in this group, I've believed for a long time, can do anything if they really set their mind to it. And I really mean that. I've spoken to a lot of people individually, and I really believe they can do anything. It's about the mindset and it's about the focus. And as you've always said, not chasing too many chickens at the same time. It does bring back to mind, though, that we have to commit. We have to go off the diving board at some point. And that brings back to mind the book study, Think and Grow Rich yet again, and the fact that the founding fathers were described by him in one of the chapters as locking the door, putting the key away or throwing the key away until they've made a decision. And we have to put ourselves in that same position, that we put our minds into a locked door scenario where we've got to do something, because it's so easy to put it off deliberately or subconsciously, either because we don't want to face the issue or we're too busy. And that's it. I think that's all that's standing between most of us and getting some incredible things done next year. So that's how it struck me anyway.
Thank you. It's like the willingness to go to any lengths to get the job done. This is
Lock the door. Lock the door and say, I'm not leaving till I've done it. I've taken a decision and committed, because at some stage we have to commit. Otherwise we can guarantee we'll be in the same cycle we're in right now. We're just going to keep repeating the cycle like a hamster wheel. We just keep doing it until we step off the wheel and say, hey, you know, I've got to commit. If I believe in something I want to do, I've got to commit and have a go. You'll only have regrets. Otherwise we'll all have regrets that we didn't try it while we could. That's how I see it anyway. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I'm so glad
Thanks,
to be
John.
on this journey with you. We're learning together here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We all need to push each other forward because we all get stuck at various points and we need a bit of a shove and a reminder. Yeah, that's why we're all here.
Beautiful. Yeah, there were some questions about the exact accuracy of the historical event and the Garcia and Rowan and all these guys. I think the story carries water nonetheless. But I would venture that part of the things that weren't told in that story were, how did he do it? How did he get across the hostile jungle in 4 days? Did he do this all alone? Great questions. Did he enlist the assistance of others? I would venture so. I don't know.
You've got to read the Livingstone story as well. They sent
Mhm.
Stanley off to find Livingstone in the middle of the Congo, in the middle of Africa.
There you go.
And he found him and said, Livingstone, I presume. Same sort of thing. The guy didn't give up until he'd located him. Yeah.
Beautiful. Let's go to Mark in NorCal. Then we got Sonia and Coyle. Hey, Mark.
Hey, John. Message to Garcia. The first time I ever read that book was actually in basic school back in 1983. And it was required reading for all brand new second lieutenants in our company. So among many other books. And it didn't take long to figure out why. And it's a short read, but the point is made. And to what Adrian was saying and what you're mentioning too, I think the inference on any of this is, I don't really care how you get it done, just get it done. You take whatever options you need, you take it however you wish to go about it. But what I want to see on the back end of that is a result. I want to see something that has happened. Use what, and we actually, when we go through OCS and basic school, we do these confidence courses and these obstacle courses, and we do them at the kind of the squad level where you've got 12 people plus the one, and we rotate, and you do these, these obstacles that have their blocks and their walls and their poles and their tires, and there's red painted on them, and there's certain ways you have to put this stuff together, and you have to get across this particular obstacle, and you have to figure, and you do it either by talking with the people that are within your squad, or you figure out yourself, but you get across. And if you touch any of these things, that's a failure. So the whole idea is to compel somebody to use their noggin to figure out how they're going to go about this, to gain confidence. So there's and there are failures, but just like there are failures here in everyone's life here, as we go through life, we overcome. It doesn't, when we aren't failures, still go back to Glenn's comment, from weeks and weeks ago. When we aren't failures, we just had a singular failure, but we learn from that failure and we move forward. And I want to just briefly touch on an officer that I had, a senior officer who was my boss when I was at 1 MEF, Marine Expeditionary Force. Essentially is a division level force. And I was at Camp Pendleton. That's about 20,000 people, and I was working in the G3. That's the operations section at the division level. And his name is Colonel Irish Egan, and you can kind of figure out why everybody called him Irish. He was, he's a grunt officer, and he had two sayings that he used to, and he didn't care. I don't care if you were a senior major or lieutenant colonel, especially if you were at that position, he just didn't want to hear it. And kind of in a way you're saying that you use, John, said, if you're on time, you're late. That was one of the things that he used to say. So be there early, in your seat, ready to go, be prepared, and ready to hit it. If we've got meetings or whatever we've got, we don't want to be, lagging around here, waiting for your stupid, what, and you don't have it together. That's especially at this level. You're responsible. You're a freaking Marine officer. I don't want to, I don't want to hear this trash. So, very matter of fact. The other one that he said, especially if somebody had not accomplished what they were set out to do, he said he would ask you, and we all knew this was coming. If you called into his office, he said, well, he'd lean up to you and he'd say, well, did you sleep last night? And if you said yes, he said, well, then you had time. And that was his other big saying. So there you go. You get it done. Message to Garcia. Don't care how you do it. Do it. And when you come to me, have the results ready to go. And that was that was my life. So Mr. Garcia has been a part of that environment for me, and I totally get this. That's why yesterday, John, when you said Mr. Garcia and going that route, I was so hyped, because this is such a great message to those that sit there and twiddle their thumbs and aren't willing to give it a go under any circumstances for any reason to make it happen. So there you go.
Thank you, Mark. I'm glad you're fired up as well. And now I'm personally fired up to hear from some of the ladies and get some of their perspective on this. Let's go to Sonia and then Koila. Hey, Sonia.
Hey guys. Great message to Garcia. I love that. I haven't heard that phrase before, but it really ties in with some wins that I wanted to share with the group today. I've been using 12-week year by Brian somebody, I can't remember his last name, which uses the athletic 12 weeks of periodization form and applies it to your personal goals and achievements for business. And I love the 12-week periodization schedule. I've used it for many things in my life, but I don't know why I've never applied it to my own goals before. But last week was the end of my first 12-week block. This week has been my reward. Traditionally, I'm terrible at rewarding myself, but I did it this time. I went away for a couple of days. This is my first day back. I just got back this morning. So excuse me for being rough. But the amount, and now that I'm refreshed and I can look back and I'm ready to plan for the next week, 12 weeks, the amount of accomplishments that I have done in the past 12 weeks are more than I've done in the past 12 years. It's been blowing me away. So the main goals that I had, of course, were business focused. And even though you guys all know I've moved in with my friend, it didn't work. I had to find my own location. Going through all that, still maintaining my focus on what I needed to accomplish, getting my product paid for, because that's always a challenge, right? You can get the deposit, but get the rest of it paid for. Get the shipping in, get it arrived into Amazon. I kept picturing in my head my product on page 1 organically and my first sale 7 days later. That happened this week. While I was away on my reward, I sold my first product I got on page 1 organically. My listing looks fantastic, and I'm excited for the rest in the next of the 12 weeks. So throughout this whole period, everyone's been saying, and you've been reading in different areas, and you can use whatever path to get to give your message to Garcia, because I feel like that's what I've been doing in the past 12 weeks. I've been showing up. I've been telling the universe, this is what I want. This is what I intend to do. This is the result I want you to show me. And it actually has been working. So whatever method you're doing on a daily basis to send your message to Garcia works. So keep working. And we keep hearing from everybody, oh, if I can do it, you can do it. And I've heard that 1,000 times. And I was always those ones that were like, yeah, you could, but my case is different, or this won't work for me. Bullshit, it works. If I can do it, you can do it. And I want to hear from everybody else's stories when they make it, because I know everybody's along different paths. But I've got even bigger goals and bigger targets for the next 12 weeks. And I'm going to keep sending that message to Garcia, and I'm going to keep showing up here and sharing that message with you guys and hoping to hear from you.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, everybody unmute and let's give some love to Sonia right now. Oh my goodness.
There, girl.
Thank you.
All right. Sonia, if you would please post the link to your top page listing, your Amazon listing, right? We want to see that product. You can post it in the certainly the chat and in our Mastermind Facebook group as well. So
all right, thank you. I will.
Yeah, I got to see this. Victory, my friends. Victory. Koila, what do you think about all this? Then we'll go to Nicola. Hey, Koila.
Hi, well done, Sonia, is all I can say. That's just excellent. I'm so pleased for you. And this is something to do with perhaps what Mark was saying. When you said we were talking about message to Garcia, or letter to Garcia, you called it actually, yesterday, I had not read that. I'd not heard of it. And I do what I do, which is kind of related to what we're talking about. I went and got it. and I read it before this session so that I would know what we were talking about. So yeah, and that is how I approach almost everything in my life and have done always. Always shown up prepared and ready. Mark, thank you. Because it's what you should do, and it's integrity and everything else. And it's taken me a long time. Well, it hasn't really taken me that long, but throughout my life, I have discovered that you can work yourself into the ground. And very rarely do you get a thank you, as Bill said. Very rarely do you get any acknowledgement for that in terms of money. Some people, I think, do in some places that they work, but mostly you don't. The only person who, in the final analysis, is really going to appreciate you is yourself. And you have to get your head round appreciating yourself and doing stuff for yourself instead of other people. I've spent my life doing stuff for other people, and I still am, and that's good and that's fine. And but I have to be able to do it for myself too. And the other thing I would say really is that while collectivism isn't the answer to anything, I think cooperation is key. Cooperation gets us a long, long way. That's what a mastermind is. And I think we need to participate and cooperate with other like-minded people as much as is possible. And that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Corey. You've got such experience and wisdom. So thank you for always sharing it so freely here with us. And by the way, I'm looking at Sonia's listing right now, and looks really nice, my friend. It's in the chat if you guys have, if you can see that. Beautiful. Well done.
Thanks. I'm ridiculously proud of creating that packaging.
Yeah, that is nice. If I was was it savvy woman? If I was a divine woman, I'd be buying that right now. Well done, my friend. All right, Nicola. Hello, my friend, Nicola.
Hello. Well done, Sonia. Just checked it out myself. That's amazing. And just listening to you, just unfortunately, I don't have the same successes to share, but it just reminded me of an article I read in a magazine this week, so I thought I would share it because it was about a martial arts, I don't know what the term is, fighter. Someone else might know. Is it MMA might be?
Mixed martial artist, yeah. Okay.
Yes. So anyway, he was the world champion for 3 years in a row. And what he used to do was 3 months, just listening to your story, Sonia, I thought, actually, that's probably what he's doing. But 3 months before each of his fights, he would kind of go underground and just disappear from his friends and family. And what everyone thought he was doing was focusing pretty much 100% on his physical training. But it turns out afterwards, he obviously kind of opened up to say exactly what happened in those 3 months, that the majority of what he was doing was mental training. So he was getting himself to a point where there was absolutely 100% self-belief that he was going to win. And that is all he focused on. So he couldn't allow any outside influences to get in. So he would visualize it, which I know a lot of sports people do, but he would be visualizing it every day. And it was just that self-belief. And in his mind, he'd already won that got him through each time. And he'd done that for 3 years in a row. So I just thought that really kind of shows us the power of the mind. It's not just what you do, but it's what you believe you can do as well. I just thought that was really powerful. So I guess that's, in a way, those 12-week years that we do, that's kind of what you're doing to an extent, isn't it? You just absolute laser sharp focus on those 12 weeks that you will achieve it. So just thought I'd share that.
Thank you, Nicola. And of course, you assist us with getting into that place where you can even have those considerations, right? Because you get a bit quiet, and now you could start to induce some fresh ideas about here's where I want to go, right? Rather than being so deductive, all these other inputs, right? We could be a bit more inductive. In fact, we just ended this week on the Think and Grow Rich on our book study. As you guys know, we are coming up to the final chapter this coming Monday, which is the 6 Ghosts of Fear. But how he ended that last chapter about the sixth sense, right? The 13th principle is really the dichotomy or the opposites of faith and fear, right? And now we're going to launch into that. This epilogue, the 6 Ghosts of Fear, unbelievable ending to the book. Like everything that you experienced up to this point, everyone who's with our book study, get ready for this coming week. This is like the big nuke that goes off now at the end. So really excited. Thank you for those reminders, Nicola. You're awesome. And then with that, I think we're going to wrap up, right? So we're already 50 minutes in. Thank you all for participating here with us on another spectacular week. We're going to have another spectacular week next week. But right now, today, remember, we do have our integrative nutrition. We're going to be talking about water. Okay, super important. If you've got a body, you need water. And it should be good water. And we're going to talk about that at 4:30 p.m. Eastern U.S. time today with Teresa Masalis. And then Be Heard at 6 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. Our hospitality suite is open as it always is. We will see you guys again real soon. Thanks again. Bye for now.